All right, well, it's 7:01. I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you, Hannah, our DJ for tonight. Welcome and thanks everyone for joining us and getting so you can learn more about the Youth Collective Film Festival. Great. In today's session, we'll cover who we are, what we're looking for, how to produce for public media, logistics and tips for submitting on Film Freeway, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions. The session will be brief and to the point. We'll also post a recording on our website and link on Film Freeway if you'd like to watch it again or share it with others. If at any point you have questions during tonight's presentation, please put them in the chat or in the Q&A box. Next slide. Next slide. So my name is Christina, and I'm a senior producer at the WNET Group. WNET is the public media company for the New York City area. We're the parent company of 13, which is considered America's flagship PBS station, and also WLIW 21, 13 PBS Kids, All Arts, and NJPBS. The WNET Group's award-winning productions include PBS series Nature, Great Performances, American Masters, and Amanpour and Company. You may know PBS because you watch PBS Kids and grew up watching Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, Curious George, or Arthur. We also produce the PBS Kids series Cyber Chase. We also produce games and digital content and much more. You can find us on your television, but also on all the platforms you watch. Next slide. Youth Collective is the WNET Group's award-winning youth media and education initiative that aims to amplify a youth voice and provide a platform for young people to engage in the important work of building a more ethical world. So our goals are really to promote understanding of different viewpoints, foster civil dialogue about ethical issues, and really inspire young people to take action in their communities. The WNET Group started Youth Collective back in 2019. Hard to believe it's been that long. Since then, we've produced annual youth summits, media created by, with, and for youth, and ethics education resources for young people. Next slide. We're excited to do something a little different this year by holding our first Youth Collective Film Festival in New York City on June 7th, 2023 at Lincoln Center. The theme for the film festival is democracy. We're inviting classrooms of high school students and their teachers for the half-day event on June 7th. In addition to screenings of the selected films, programming will include a keynote address, a Changemaker Award, a panel with selected youth filmmakers, and small group discussions. Filmmakers of the selected films will be invited to join us at Lincoln Center, and we do plan to offer a modest travel stipend to help filmmakers attend. We'll also provide mentoring opportunities from public media professionals throughout the process. So after the festival, we plan to distribute the content on various WNET platforms to extend the reach of the short films. And we're kind of calling this part the ongoing digital festival. You'll see there's an in-person and digital fest deadline. So if you miss the in-person deadline, you can still submit for the digital fest. And if your film isn't selected for the in-person event, it might still be considered for the digital festival. Next slide. So we're looking for short films by young people ages 13 to 25 that address democracy. You know, this could be anything from a film dance piece interpreting a first voting experience through movement, to an animated satire about the First Amendment, to a short documentary about a community's local government. We encourage you to think beyond politics. We want to see creative and thoughtful interpretations of what democracy means to you. So all genres are welcome. You just need to see, we need to be able to see a clear connection to the democracy theme, and that the film follows all the rules and terms that my colleague Hannah will discuss now in more depth.
Thanks, Christina. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Daw, and I am a coordinating producer at the WNET Group. Thanks all for being here tonight. So when it comes to producing for public media, we want to talk about how that's different from other films you may have created before. First, by talking about what exactly is public media and how that's different from other media that's free. So, public media is a system of independently owned and operated TV and radio stations across the country, whose mission is to provide free, high quality media for Americans of all backgrounds. You might know them as your local PBS or NPR stations. Public media aims to educate and inspire viewers, and it's operated on a non for profit model. So, there's no commercials, no ads, and it strives to be nonpartisan. Next slide. So when you're creating a film, there are restrictions that might be different from media you've created in the past. And we'll go through a handful and we'll have times for questions. But first, one thing that we want to do is assure you that you will still maintain ownership of your film. So when we talk about having rights when you submit, we're talking about having official permission to share it with audiences at the film festival or on TV or online. So by submitting, you're agreeing to grant WNET a non-exclusive license to show the film at the festival and distribute it on public media, which includes our broadcast and digital platforms. And non-exclusive means that you can still submit and show your film in other places, including your own channels and other film festivals. Next slide. So we first want to talk about what some of these restrictions are, starting with things you need to clear. And basically, overall, everything in your film needs to either be original material or something that you've cleared. And this applies to music, photos, clips, video footage, sound effects, graphics, emojis, fonts, animation, pretty much anything. Original material means that you yourself filmed it or took the photo or wrote the song. So anything you didn't create yourself isn't original. So what is clearing? Clearing means that you've purchased a license or obtained written permission from the owner of the copyright that allows you to use it. And for our purposes, that means you'll need to clear it in what's called all manner and media worldwide in perpetuity. So all manner and media means that we can use it on different platforms and venues, including TV, online, and at the live event. Worldwide means anywhere in the world. And in perpetuity means that the rights don't expire. You may need to show proof that you received rights. This could be a license or an agreement, but some kind of official written documentation. So let's get into some more specifics with music. So even if you get music for free, whether you download it from YouTube or a sample from TikTok, if you haven't secured written permission to use it, you actually aren't allowed to use it. You can record yourself playing or singing music, but if it's a cover of an existing song, the underlying composition is likely subject to copyright. So that also needs to be cleared or licensed. There are resources where you can find free music. You just need to make sure it isn't only for personal use, since your film may end up on TV. And we suggest asking your teachers, your professors, mentors for help. Sometimes this is in fine print, but they can help you kind of suss it out. Also asking your talented musician friends to compose original pieces is a great option. And you may decide that it's best actually to use part of your budget to pay for rights, so you don't have to worry about it at all. Next slide. So just like with music, any footage, photos, images that you didn't create yourself need to be cleared by purchasing a license or obtaining written permission from the owner. Again, this would mean permitting you to use it in all manner and media worldwide in perpetuity. This may include free images you find online or even historical footage. Now, some photos might be in the public domain, which means that you can use them, but you need to double check the right status with each source. And again, teachers and mentors can be very helpful with this, so definitely ask for help. Next slide. So graphics, anything you didn't create yourself, you need to have the rights to use in terms of graphics. You sense a theme as we go through this, right? So this includes overlays, filters, stickers, memes, etc. Although many of the graphics might be provided for free or a small fee for personal use, so that's like if you're creating something on TikTok, you might not be allowed to use them for a film you're planning to show or distribute commercially without obtaining a license. There are free versions of editing software and platforms that provide graphics, but only permit personal use. So make sure you really triple check those terms. And if you do have the ability, some paid software platforms often provide access to a library of graphics to use for free and permission beyond personal use because you've paid for that platform. So just double check what you're using and ask for help checking that out. Next slide. So releases, filmmakers need to have a signed appearance release for every person who appears in their film. And this means that you get written permission from anyone who appeared in the film stating that they've given you permission to include them and to show that film wherever and whenever you plan. So the best way to do this is by having them sign a form called an appearance release. We strongly encourage you to use the template appearance release form that's linked on our Film Freeway submission page to ensure you've gotten the appropriate permissions. Next slide. So a few additional things to keep in mind and to avoid so that your film can be eligible for public media. First is please avoid featuring brand logos and clearly copyrighted items and materials. Some examples of this would be showing Nike shoes, a poster with Mickey Mouse, an Avengers action figure, a Coca-Cola can with the logo showing. These can really sneak up. Brands are everywhere. So just keep a really careful eye out, especially be cognizant when it comes to clothing, art and decor in the background, or products in the kitchen. You can always blur logos in post-production, but we know from experience that's pretty time intensive. So to save you some trouble, keep an eye out from the start. Films may not contain any of the following: indecency, which is like nudity; profanity, like unbleeped swearing; obscenity, so this is depictions or descriptions of overtly sexual content in a clearly offensive manner; defamatory statements or gratuitous depictions of alcohol, tobacco, or firearm use. We know that this can sometimes be a fine line, so please just exercise your best judgment about what would be appropriate. And again, ask your mentors, teachers for their advising on that too. They can be really helpful. We sometimes receive fantastic films that don't meet these rules. So we ask that filmmakers are willing to have their films edited for time constraints or to comply with public media content and funding standards when they submit. So this might mean something like us bleeping out a swear word or perhaps cutting an inappropriate reference. We know this may all be a little overwhelming and there's a lot to figure out. We want to make sure you have all the information so that when you submit your film, there's nothing that could get anyone in trouble, especially you, the filmmaker. So please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. And again, we encourage asking teachers, professors, mentors who can really help you with the specifics of your work. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you all to Janice Aragon. Janice is a youth advisor with Youth Collective and a filmmaker. And she was selected last year to be part of our Amplify series. So she created a film for public media and has firsthand experience in this realm. So thank you so much for joining us today, Janice, to share some of your insights.
Thank you, Hannah. Hi, everyone. So as she mentioned, I'm Janice. I'm a Youth Collective advisor and filmmaker. And I'm here to reassure you that even though submitting a piece to a film festival can seem like a massive undertaking, don't stress, there are a few things you can keep in mind to make it a smoother ride. Proper planning will save you a lot of headaches down the line. Consider something like a full script or a storyboard or a shot list, so you have something to reference when you're filming. That way you don't sit down to edit and suddenly realize you have parts missing. On a similar note, make sure you have a rough timeline for your project to ensure that you're able to submit on time. If it isn't your first time making videos, you know how time-consuming editing can be, and we'd really like everyone who can to participate in this festival. And I'd like to reiterate on the theme of democracy, this prompt is intentionally pretty broad. You can explore positive, negative, or neutral connotations of the subject, or focus on things like maybe products of democracy or motivators. And it is absolutely not limited to American society. So if you have any other views in mind, we'd be happy to see them. Whatever you do end up using to make your film, get to know its terms and conditions. As mentioned earlier, there can be a lot of hidden catches to how and when you can use content you make on different editing platforms. On some sites, it can be that you don't have the right to distribute any content you make, but in some extreme cases, you might even be giving that owner of the editing software the right to your work. So just keep an eye out. And all films will be judged on a variety of criteria. So if you're worried about not having fancy equipment or resources, be assured that your film will be judged fairly, and we welcome creators of all skill levels. And lastly, remember to be safe while filming. Be aware of your surroundings and make sure you have proper permissions to film where you are. Be mindful in public spaces. And as we ease out of the pandemic, remember local COVID safety guidelines, as well as doing things like sanitizing equipment and social distancing when possible to keep yourselves and others out of trouble. So right now I'm going to hand it over to Mia, who's going to talk to you about the Film Freeway website.
Thank you so much, Janice. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Mia. I'm on the film festival team, and I'm a filmmaker myself. So we're going to talk about how you actually submit your film. We use a platform called Film Freeway, which if anyone has experience going through the college application process, it's kind of like the common app for films, for film festivals. So you upload your film to this platform, and then you can submit to any festival that's on it, including ours. So to submit to our film festival, you go to filmfreeway.com/Youth Collective Film Festival. If you haven't made a Film Freeway account before or used it before, you will have to make an account. It's free and it's easy. It will not take you long. So once you do that, then you click Submit Now and then add a project. And then you'll be able to add information about your film. I'm so sorry. So the credits, the director, the title, etc. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So then these will come up. You can add your project file so that you can either upload your film or you can include a link to a YouTube or Vimeo. Remember that if you have a password on one of those platforms, to include the password so that we're able to watch it. Once you do that, then this other screen will come up, and you can add a poster, you can add a trailer, you can add pictures from your shoot. There's lots and lots of information that you can add to sort of fill out your own sort of site for your film. So then once you've done all that, you can go back to filmfreeway.com/Youth Collective Film Festival and click Submit Now and fill out the submission form. When you do that, there will be a few extra questions that are specifically from us that you'll have to answer. For example, what is your film's connection to democracy? And as Janice said, that can, you can interpret that as you will. And the more information that you put in there, the better it'll be for us. Next slide, please. So just a few tips to set you up for success. Again, make sure your film has a connection to the theme. That's really important. Make sure you give yourself time, as Janice was saying, not only to edit and make your project, but also to fill out the application and upload it to Film Freeway. Might take a little bit more time than you think, but shouldn't take too long. Also on Film Freeway and on our application, the more, as I was saying before, the more information you give us, the more helpful it is to us. It's really nice to be able to know a little bit more about you, or a little bit about why you made the film, or if you have a trailer or photos or anything, all of that will only help you. And now I think we're going to go on to see if anyone has any questions. It looks like we have a couple questions that have come in to the Q&A.
Yeah,
if anyone
we have
has
a couple
other
of questions. Yeah, we have a couple of questions. One question that is maybe for you, Mia, is someone asked, like, what counts as a short film?
Oh, that's a great question. So that can vary, but for our purposes, we are accepting films under 40 minutes. So anything up to that point is totally fair game. I will say the shorter your film, the more we'll be able to include more films if more of them are shorter. So it could be to your advantage to keep it tight and make sure it's well edited, but obviously take all the time you need up until 40 minutes.
Great. And another question that came in, Are social media videos allowed? Hannah, do you want to take that one?
Yes, great question. So the answer is kind of. Kind of given everything that we just went over in terms of how you are editing. And so, for example, if you have a TikTok video you've created, but you're using sound cues from the TikTok app, if you haven't gotten permission to use it, then technically you wouldn't be allowed to submit that. However, if you've done something that's very much like in the style of TikTok and you find a sound cue and you get it cleared, or if it's some of your own original music, but it's very much like to the style of something you would create on TikTok, then absolutely. And like Mia said, you know, we're really excited to see films of all lengths. So do not let it deter you. If you have a 30-second film that could be a reel and it's about democracy in some way, like that is absolutely welcome.
Great. And one more question that came in is, what if I'm a new filmmaker and I've never submitted to a film festival before? What do you think? What can we tell this person?
I say absolutely go for it. I think this is a great festival to be your first one. We're a new festival too, so we're all learning together, and we're so excited to see what you've made. It doesn't matter what your experience or training is. We want to hear all voices, so please come join us.
And
Great.
I'll just add on to, like Mia mentioned, one of the questions in the submission process is for you to tell us about your background as a filmmaker. So if you're brand new, that helps us see that, like, oh my gosh, this is your first film and look what you've created. So we say welcome to the filmmaking community, come on board, and definitely submit. And there's an opportunity to let us know your experience so that we have that context too.
Great. So that's all the questions we have for now. And if anyone has other questions that come up, we encourage you to reach out. You know, just here on this slide, you've got the deadlines, which are very important. So February 15th is the early bird deadline. So if you already have something that maybe you already created a film that connects to democracy, go ahead and send it our way. We've already been receiving submissions. March 15th is the deadline for the in-person fest, and May 15th is for the digital fest only. So if you don't make it to the March 15th deadline, you could still be considered for the digital fest if you submit by the 15th of May. Please reach out to us at our Gmail or on Instagram and follow us for more updates and info. We are around and happy to answer any questions that may come up as you're producing your film. And I think that's it. I think it's a wrap. We were trying to keep this under half an hour. Thanks for joining and have a great night.